Hello, welcome to part 11 of the Johnny Blender 3 series. In the previous section we kind of finished up the texture mapping, and in this section I think what we're going to do is go ahead and create a jacket for him. Let's go ahead and take a look at our reference. Kind of a, if you've seen the movie The Rocketeer, that's kind of the look I was sort of going for here. Of course different colors, but sort of the fold over button on the side type of look. Maybe Captain Marvel from the DC universe also has that. So let's go ahead and start working on that. First, before I do that though, Johnny looks a little tan here. He's been out in the sun too long. Remember, if we render it out, this subsurface scattering adds a little bit of darkness to the skin there, and I designed him to be a little more pale, so let's go ahead and escape out of there. And there's a couple of things we can do if you want to change the color of your texture map. We can open up the UV image editor and load the texture map in there, and we can go ahead and paint on here like we did before and just go through and paint all these a lighter color, or we can kind of always happens, there we go, we can sort of do a shortcut, and we'll go into our textures and we'll just add a new one here, and it's going to be a blend, and we'll come down here and expand the colors, turn on color ramp, and go ahead and hit delete because the first one was selected, was right there, and it was the color black, and it was the alpha was set to 0, so it was a transparent black color there. So I just want this to be white so I can gauge some lighter color to the tone. So if you want to darken it up, you can add different colors, but for this instance we're going to lighten the skin color a little bit. Okay, so what we want to do is down here you can just add straight white on there, but it's going to kind of kill the contrast between the colors as well, so we don't necessarily want to do that. But what we should do is go down to blend right there and change it to, let's just say, overlay. And you can see that it brightened everything up like that right there. Let's see if we can get a better shot. That one will probably work. So if we turn this on and off, you can see how much difference it makes. So maybe white is a little too, it looks kind of chalky and they're kind of yellowish. Let's change that to a tiny bit pink, just a little bit, about right there maybe. Okay, and that'll probably work. Yeah, let's go ahead and save that and do a render again real quick. Hopefully that should brighten everything up. Take it a second to render. Yeah, that's a little bit better. But like I said, it kind of looks a little chalky, but almost kind of yellowish here on the body. That's kind of weird. It should be the same basic tone as the face. Well, we can continue playing with this, add maybe even a little bit more color to it. Try to render again. Actually, we don't need to render, I guess, do we? Let's just set, well, I guess it doesn't update when you have multiple textures on there. Maybe if we bump that up. No change. Okay. Alright, so that's going to be it for that little shortcut. You can just, like I said, you can play with it. If you want to make him, a green Martian or something, you can just turn that to green or something, and it'll do all that. So, quick, easy way to change the overall tone of your texture map. So we'll just set it about right there. Oops. Accidentally turned off the ramp, and why it went purple is because it went to alpha, which is this color right here, the general default color of the alpha. Anyways, so turn that back on, and there we go. Okay, so once more, save once again, and now we will start working on the jacket. Now what we're going to do, in order to get it to where it fits 100% correct onto Johnny here, is instead of building another cube and extruding out the arms and everything, we will just Shift D, duplicate Johnny, and just kind of drag him around so we can see what we did. And you can see it over here, it now has jbhead.001. That means it's a copy of a model that's already in the scene. Automatically adds the .001. And honestly, it doesn't need to say head anymore, so we'll just click in here again and it'll select, the objects back and forth because there's two taking up the exact same space. So let's go ahead and name this one body, and we'll click in here again and go ahead and name this one jacket. Okay, so now we're going to tab into edit mode, and I can see that I accidentally hit the Windows key. OS key is what it informed down here. Still has that shape key on there. So let's get rid of that. Let's expand this out a little bit. And it's going to be under the object data. Let's go ahead and just delete that. And we don't need any shape keys on this jacket model, so we'll just delete them all. Tab back in edit mode. And pretty much the only pieces of this mesh that we need are the torso, the upper torso, and then the arms. So what we can do is just zoom way out, hit C to open up your selection painter, and just kind of drag over all these pieces that we don't need, like so, and the head, and just go ahead and hit delete, and we'll delete those vertices. And we missed a few, but we can go in here and clean it up. Since the head is kind of a separate piece, just Control L, delete all those guys. And you know what? This is kind of distracting with the front being lit up and the back being completely in shadow. So let's change our display mode back to multi-texture and then back to solid. There we go. A little easier to see things this way. Okay, so we'll go to our side view and we need to go ahead and delete these guys. Okay, that's good on the legs. Come out here, and that's pretty good. Let's grab that guy, delete that. Come over this side, everything good. Well, we deleted this part on this side, so let's go ahead and just get those, delete them, and come back over here and delete this as well, just so it's nice and uniform. And now we will grab this collar right here and go ahead and delete that. Okay, and that'll probably work. So now we're going to hit everything, or hit A to select everything, and hit Alt S to skinny and fatten it, kind of like we did with the fingers when we were modeling those. And now we have it sitting on top of Johnny there, so it's kind of like a shirt. He's wearing a shirt now. But if we were to render, if we jump back into GLSL, go to textures, you can see that it still has that texture map applied to it. So we need to go ahead and grab our materials and go ahead and, I guess we can just create a copy of it. Just hit that 2 and it'll create a copy of that. I'll just name this JB Jacket. And then we'll go in here to the textures. We don't need that different color on there anymore since it's a different piece, so we'll just go ahead and delete that from there. Grab texture, go ahead and hit the 2 again, because when you make a copy of a material, it copies everything. Or it doesn't copy everything, it just copies what you tell it to copy. For example, we copied the name, changed it, so that changed that. And then here, if we don't copy the texture and rename it, it's going to mess with the original texture. So we got to make sure you hit that 1 or that 2 or whatever the number is to give it its own. So this one we will call jacket texture. Okay. So let's go ahead and start working on the model before we mess any more with the texture, because we got to build that side piece there. Let's go ahead and tab into edit mode. And tell you what, let's do. Let's grab this loop right here. Just hold down Alt and right click. And trying to figure out the best way. Let's go ahead and just create a new loop right there beside it, and then drag it towards it ever so closely. And then we'll zoom in here, add another loop right there in the middle. Control R, there we go. And just go ahead and click to lock it in, and just go ahead and hit delete. Vertices, and now we have a separation there. Okay, and we're going to grab that edge and go ahead and extrude it once, move it to towards the side, towards the center actually. You know what, let's do, let's go ahead and grab Johnny himself and go ahead and hide him to get him out of the way for now. Tab back into edit mode, and let's just kind of scale this. Actually, let's turn off our proportional editing first. Disable that. Scale this along the X, and we're still scaling along the 3D cursor. Let's put that to medium point. And just kind of get this to where It's just right behind that front piece. Oops, scale it just right. There we go. Okay. That'll probably work. We're never going to actually open it up, so we don't need to model everything behind that front layer, because that'd be a waste of time, so we don't really need to do that. So I'm going to grab this corner here and drag it down so we see a marked difference between that bottom edge. Now let's go ahead and turn that proportional editing back on. And let's see here. I want to sharpen up this corner here. So zoom out, you can see it's kind of rounded. So I want to come in here and add another loop right there. Okay, tab out, sharpen it up a little bit, but mostly around the shoulder area. Let's jump over to our modifiers and turn on this guy right here. Use modifier while in edit mode, and that will allow us to see, well, you can see the smoothed model beneath the cage there, the mesh, and if we hit that, apply modifier to editing cage during edit mode, that little symbol right there, it'll put the smooth version into our viewport there. So we can grab that and kind of move it around and make it look the way we want it to. Let's grab this whole loop right here, and let's go W, smooth, and then we'll come over here and change the iterations up. Okay, and let's go ahead and extrude that to have a little collar popping up there. There we go. You know what? Let's Alt-H, unhide Johnny. Make sure everything's looking good on there. Yes, looking pretty good. And, you know, I think that'll work for the jacket. There's just one more thing I would like to do, and that is to give it a little bit of the illusion of thickness. There's a modifier we can use called the Solidify. We'll go ahead and turn that on. You can see it actually adds thickness to that single layer of the mesh there, the single polygon, one layer there. But I guess we don't have to apply it. Usually I put it on there and then I apply it so it's, you know, 100% part of the model. But I guess we don't have to apply it. We can leave it on there as a modifier. If you, the way this works is, like it says, it solidifies, takes a one single face, single polygon mesh and turns it into basically two, front and back, and you can adjust the thickness right there. Right now it's going towards the inside because the offset is set to -1, so the thickness will all go to the inside. As you can see, if we set the offset to 1, then the thickness will go outside. In this instance, I want to make it go inside, so let's put that back to -1, and not too thick. About right there. That'll probably work. And then we can give it an even thickness and set the inner. Well, these creases really only work if this modifier is above the subsurf. So if we pop that up there, you can see it kind of looks a little bit better already, and we can change the edge settings there. So it's probably good. Let's grab this guy and move him forward just a little bit. Maybe grab these, kind of fold them out just a little bit. And we've got some intersection coming on right here, so let's grab that, move him back. Okay, so this is looking pretty good. Let's straighten it up to where it's all falling below his waist, like so. And let's come back out of GLSL mode so I can see the back solid view. There we are. Let's grab this back of this here. If I can grab the right piece. There we go. Turn that on. No? There we go. Okay. And let's drag it just a little bit more so it's got a nice overhang going on. Okay, so we got his jacket pretty well done. Like I said, I want to apply the thickness because, or the solidify, because I want to add the buttons and everything on there. And I can't, if I do that now, it'll also solidify those, and that's just no bueno. So, I guess what we can do is just go in here to edit mode, grab the edge. Go ahead and turn that off for now so we can see what we're doing a little bit better. So we're going to grab the edge, all the edges, like so, and go ahead and hit Control E to mark the seam. And then we'll grab the edges of the cuffs here, and Control E, mark those seams as well. And we don't really need that seam along the top anymore, so let's deselect that, or just select that, I guess. Only that, and deselect the bottom, that's what I meant. And now we'll Control E, clear seam. So I want it to unwrap, you know, have the seam on the bottom and wrap around the top. So. Okay, so now if we turn this back on and we go ahead and apply it, I can't do it during edit mode, so I've got to come out of edit mode, apply it there. Now when we tab in, you can see those seams should be on there already. I don't need this seam here though, nor this seam. So we'll Control E, clear those seams, and now we will attempt to unwrap this. Go to our UV image editor and close out the render result. And let's make a new image. And we'll leave it at 1024 by 1024, that's fine. And I like to use UV test grid just to see what I'm doing a little bit better. Did it not make it? Don't think it did. New image, UV test grid, okay. Well, maybe I have to select everything, no? Image, new. Oh, it's creating them, but it's not loading them in the window. So, select one of those two. Okay, and we're going to go unwrap. You can see the inside and the outside of the jacket, and then I guess this is the edge of the jacket here, which doesn't really need to be separated. So let's go back in here and see if we can't select that whole edge, or maybe this outer edge. Gotta be careful. Control up to make that full screen. There we go. Oops. Okay, so now I have that whole outer edge. Control E, clear that one. Control down to make that window smaller. And we'll select everything again. Unwrap. And we still got to do the ends of the sleeves. So grab that one, Control E, clear seam, and I'll just grab this one, Control E, clear seam, select everything. Unwrap, and there we go. So now we just got the insides of the sleeves, the outsides of the sleeves, inside of the torso part, and the outside of the torso part. So, okay, so we'll go UVs, average their scale, and pack the islands. There we go. So now we have a unique texture map for our jacket. So if we go to textured view, you can see that on there. And we'll go ahead and go to GLSL mode, I suppose. And it's wanting to load, it's weird, it's wanting to load two different texture maps on there. Let's see if we have two different UVs. No, just the one. Oh, I see. It's not loading this map because we haven't applied that particular texture to the models. So it's still pulling the Johnny's body map to it. So what we need to do is come down here to image mapping. Actually, that's not it. Where is it? Just image. There we go. And click on the little thumbnail there and say, nope, we want to use untitled. There we go. And we'll go ahead and say jacket texture. There we are. Okay, so now I want to paint on the back of it too. So let's tell you what, let's do this. Grab a light bulb and just drag it back there. So now all three sides should be visible. and lit up. Okay, so now we're going to paint his jacket, just like we did on his body. So we're going to go grab the jacket, go to texture paint, and go ahead and turn on image painting over here. And what color we want to make it? Sort of a bright royal blue. Okay, so we're going to make bright royal blue about maybe right there. Okay, I'll just start painting it on there. We don't got to worry about going around the hands and everything because that's part of a different model. And for that matter, we do not need to, well, we're not. I was going to say we don't need to project paint, but, but we already are not. So I just make our brush a little bigger maybe. Gonna knock it out a little faster. Actually, I guess we can just paint everything blue over in this window. I guess we could have started off with a blue texture map in the first place, but oh, I forgot to put the buttons on there, didn't I? Well, that's no big deal. We'll just hop back to edit mode, and let's just click over here. Put our 3D cursor over there. Shift A, come on, Shift A. There we go. And add a UV sphere. And it has way too many segments, so let's set the segments down to 6, and let's put the rings up to, or down to, we'll say 8. And we're going to delete the bottom part of them. There we go. Grab the top part, scale it down a little bit, and grab this inside ring, extrude it down, scale it down, and grab the whole thing, flatten it out some, and then we'll scale it down, bring it over to the chest part, rotate it. Let's rotate it 90 degrees. So I just hit R90 on the numpad on the x-axis. So quick, easy way to rotate something. A perfect increment. So let's pull that out and get it positioned onto his jacket there. There we go. And we'll zoom out. Shift D, duplicate it down. There we are. Go back to Control 3 to the right side view. Drag that out. Rotate it around. Back to front view. Shift D. Down to right there. Control 3. Rotate that around. Okay, we'll put one more on there down here at the bottom. Right there. And drag it back. Okay, there we go. And it's not very even, is it? Let's drag this third one here up. About to right there will work. I'll get it situated this way. And there we go. So we got a nice button-up jacket there on the side. We need to tell it to be smooth again. There we are. And see if that'll, yeah. When it renders out the two subsurfs, it will make those buttons nice and smooth. So they're kind of jaggedy with one subsurf applied, but that's fine. Okay, so starting to run over time. I was trying to go by 20-minute segments, but they're all turning into about 25 minutes, so we'll just shoot for 25. Hopefully everyone's attention spans can put up with that. Okay, since we added a new geometry to our mesh, it kind of threw off our UV coordinates. So we need to go ahead and reload that jacket texture in. And we'll need to unwrap them again, since we got those new buttons on there. And we'll go ahead and say, actually I need to turn off the image painting so I can edit the UVs. We'll say average their scale and pack them. For some reason it didn't select all these. There we go. Okay, so now we're all set there. And I'm going to save this real quick. So now we can kind of start adding a little bit of extra detail to the jacket. Not too much. Like I said, I'm not sure if I'm going to put the JB on there or not, but we can add a few highlights and things real quick, because now we are past the 25-minute mark. So we'll just add a little bit of subtle difference here. A little bit darker blue here, like for say the sides. Let's make the strength down and the radius down a little bit. Let's kind of just barely brush on there here on the sides, and then maybe darken the buttons up a little bit. Actually, let's do that on this window. Let's select everything, then zoom in here so we can see what we're doing. Turn that to